is simplistic to understand. The longest scene takes more than 10, I'll play 2 rounds. And the only reason why is because the first round they mistook something. The fact that it figure out 2 rounds. I'll have fun. That means by round 3,
yes.
Okay, gentlemen, pick your foxes.
Alrighty. I'm gonna do this one. That's the card
He's pretty good.
I love this little guy.
Alright, we'll go ahead and sit on that side. So we've got room.
Want me to play too?
Alright. So, everybody starts off with 2 tails, which you can add to any of your attributes as you see fit. As you may or may not have had mentioned to you before, the objective of the game is to reach 9 tails. Harry, have your tails. Make sure this is shuffled. And the way that this
is shuffled too.
Yeah, that one's probably in order, because that's the one from the display.
Well, I kind of shoved it together when I put the display together, so it's semi-randomized, but
Not very.
not hugely. Nothing's going to be like too next to each other, but
Neither will be all that far out of order.
well, no, I mean you won't get. There would have one half of the deck had half of the pools, and the other half had the other half of the pools, but they weren't really.
The highest wits on the board appears to be Kenji, so you're going to take the first turn. We have 5 players, so there are going to be 5 fools in play. Looks like we have a corrupt judge, an obnoxious friend, 2 murderers, and a brat. It's like a certain high-profile murder trial.
No kidding.
And I don't need to name names because you can think of pretty much any high-profile murder trial. So, the idea is, you're going to want to pick one of these fools to scheme against, and if that fool has greater foolishness than you've got tails, then when you succeed at your scheme, you can get a tail. If you fail at the scheme, you instead get a consequence card, which I will proceed to start shuffling. We also are going to start with Foxfire. I get 5 for my 5 entry, you'll get 6. Foxfire tokens are double-sided, so they can be used as 1 or 3 to more conveniently count up. You also have 6. You have 6 Foxfire can be used to add to your wits, or to subtract from some fox's wits. You can also add to someone else's wits if you wanted to help them for some reason. Which
you were accomplishing.
you might be their accomplice, or you might be Kip, who can become their accomplice by helping, or there might be some other card effect that gave you a reason to do so. So, there are also cards which cost Foxfire, and on your turn, if someone's got an ally in play, you can steal that ally away by paying 1 Foxfire. If they have room in their pool, they will get the Foxfire you spent to steal them. That's a new thing.
Okay. So it's not actually just
we
going
added that
back,
after,
it's actually
we added that
going
after
to
Heat
the
Con for
steal.
balance. But if you send an ally away, they don't get it. They just get it. For all of the good and not good that way. So, you got the first turn, and you could scheme against anything except for the brat. And get.
I'm gonna go after the obnoxious friend.
Does it mean I'm good at
Yes. Alright, so you're going to go after the obnoxious friend. You've got a 7 versus 4 to begin with. Do you want to modify that? Apparently not. You've got a 10. He does not have a 10. Goodbye. You get a tail. assign that to any of your stats. He is replaced with a petulant whiner. Come on, unfair. Alright, going around the table, my turn next. Yes, the brat is currently attached to Kenji, and if nobody else succeeds at the scheme for the brat to attach to them, then your next scheme will have +1 foolishness. Because the brat will be getting involved, getting in your way, being annoying.
Being a brat, in fact.
In fact, the petulant whiner. I'm going to give myself +4 this Dream of Vengeance, which would be worth double against a Wrathful Fool, but the Fool's Wrath are much more difficult, and my wits actually isn't at least 4, so it's not worth it for me to double. So I'm just going to get +4, have a total of 7 versus 3, and I'm going to roll. Go ahead and roll for the Fool. Alright, 7 + 7 versus 7 + 3. I succeed.
Yay.
Goodbye,
The
Whiner.
brat attaches to you now.
Brat moves over to me. Whiner is replaced with another brat. That's going to be fun.
Come on.
And I will also play a Kitsune Playmate, who once per round allows me to get one Foxfire and draw 1 card.
A moral lesson on myself.
So you're going to scheme, and then you play a moral lesson on yourself.
Scheme against one of the brats.
Do you want the one that's attached to me already, or the one that isn't? Not that it matters,
Not
because
that it
whichever
really
one you
matters,
don't
yeah.
I
go
shall
after.
help.
Now remember, the moral lesson only applies to her.
So I'm gonna get a tail from helping?
So you wouldn't get a tail because the brat's only a foolishness 1.
That's why I'm doing the
Then
moral
Pip
lesson.
shall not help. For once.
For once, Pip shall not help. Okay.
That's where my tail goes.
I, for the moral lesson, discard all tricks and Foxfire. And then I roll against the brat.
You have succeeded
I have
because
succeeded.
9 + 5 greater than 3 + 1.
In fact, 9 is greater than 3. 5 is greater than 1. Okay, so I'll get rid of one of the brats, and
The other brat will attach to you.
the influential banker is now in play.
All right, goes on to your turn.
Alright, at the start of each turn, I get a
It's supposed to say round, but that basically means that whereas normal people get 1 Foxfire per round, Akira's special ability is to regenerate 2 each round without skipping his turn to many.
So regeneration.
Right.
He's got
so
faster
you
energy
can't
regeneration.
you can't go above whatever your stats are.
The maximum for Foxfire is your witchery. So you're at full right now.
Okay.
But if you can basically spend 2 per round without worrying about whether it will
Going
come
down.
back, and it will come back faster for you than other people, even if you spend more.
Alright. Well, I'm just going to go against murderers.
Okay?
Just as it is, right there.
Actually, why don't you go against the judge? I can help.
Right now, the murderers, their drawback is if you fail a scheme against them, they kill every other fool in play, and they're discarded or replaced.
Okay, I'll
The
help
influential
anyway.
banker has a drawback of, while he's in play, no foxes may draw cards. The corrupt judge has a drawback of, while he's in play, foxes may not voluntarily discard cards while they are, when this was printed it was called gather resources, but
Now
the
it's prepare.
action is called prepare yourself, where you normally could discard as many tricks as you want and then draw up to your full hand. With this combination in play, you can't do either of those things.
So getting rid of the judge is probably good. Plus, I think I can be really effective at that.
Either the judge or the banker is good to get rid of, but if you just want to go against the murderer, because that's a lower total, that's fine too.
Alright, if you're gonna help me,
Yeah.
we're gonna go after the judge.
All right. Kip is going to play Spell of Sleep, so that way he can double his wits. So he spends 2 Foxfire, 1 to activate his ability, 1 to do that. And so he's going to double his wits.
Well, you can
but-
activate your ability just by playing the card.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to spend 2 anyway to give +1 and double?
Yeah.
There you go. So you're adding 3 to your total of 4 wits. That's 7. Times 2 is 14.
Yep.
So you've currently got 14 versus 8.
You can do it.
All right. Your total was higher, so the judge is successfully schemed against, and you each gain a tail.
Court and jury duty.
Replaced with an ancient dragon. This is Kip's least favorite component. The
Yes.
ancient dragon turns off the beneficial abilities of foxes while it is in play.
Nice. They were thinking like, not so nice.
The dragon makes Kip not want to be helpful.
Say he
that one
cannot
because I don't
cause
have any
innocent
puzzles.
chaos.
I didn't pass it because I forgot to play my Innocent Chaos.
Oh my.
But that will only go into effect now.
Yep.
This has been used.
Yeah.
And it is Kip's turn. You still can't scheme because it doesn't turn off your drawback.
Yeah.
But you also can't draw because he's in play.
I can get.
Successful scheme.
I can gain a foxfire though.
You could meditate
Yes.
to flip that back to a 3.
Yeah.
You could also move tails if you wanted.
Oh, I know.
There you go. 3 more. So moving your tails.
Yeah.
Moving your. You should probably have the foxfire off to the side and the tails next to the stat.
That sounds like a good idea.
That would be less confusing.
Totally. And definitely a more recommended way of doing it.
Yeah. What? So it's
All right, so I'm gonna play Wise Kanugumi.
the dog god there gives you +2 wisdom for a bigger hand size.
Which isn't gonna help me too much.
Not until the banker's off the
I'm gonna
table.
attack one of the murders.
All right, you've got 8 versus 7. Unfortunately, they beat your roll.
Are you going to help me?
Well,
It's too late. You rolled too quickly.
yes. This is the price.
And that means, well, good news is the consequence you suffered didn't affect you. Broken toys, you must discard any tools you've used. You haven't used any tools.
Yeah.
So,
However,
Failing against a murderer means we get rid of
Yes.
all the cards, so the banker is gone.
good news and bad news, the banker and the dragon are gone
The Brad go too.
because someone failed to scheme against the murderer.
now wait a minute.
So we have-
There were 2 murderers.
Right.
So you're
Yeah.
telling me the murderers don't murder each other?
One of the murderers murdered the other murderer, but only one of the murderers was doing murdering tonight.
The murderer who was schemed against survives.
So now
The shrew! The shrew! Kill it! Kill it!
we have the interesting situation of the faithless priest, who is having us gain 1 less foxfire each round. So only Akira is gaining foxfire per round right now. The lecherous CEO, against whom a male fox may voluntarily fail a scheme in order to search the tricks deck for any 1 card and add it to his hand. The murderer is still in play. We have the arrogant shrew manager who gives each fox a consequence at the start of his or her turn. Just arbitrarily, because she's a bad leader that way. And then we have the media sex symbol, who enforces heteronormativity and says you can only scheme against someone of the opposite gender. So that brings it on to my turn. And I'm going to suffer a consequence. Let's see what that consequence is that she assigns me. People injured. You know what? I'm okay with that. Discard all fools and draw new ones in equal number.
Wow.
Sometimes she blows herself up.
So
That
it
didn't
seems-
last very long.
Yay.
Another faithless priest, a scumbag lawyer, a drug lord, another sex symbol, and an influential banker. Again.
At least the good news
Okay.
is there's only two of each fool type in every deck.
Which means that both the faithless priests and the media sex symbols and the influential bankers will be gone after this.
The murderers already are.
Ian, if we
Yes.
get full funding to where there were both male and female equivalents of each fool, does that mean there'd be 4 fools?
No.
It'll just
The
be
full deck
one
will
male
still
and one female.
The full deck will still be 2 copies of each fool. It will just be 1 male and 1 female of each fool for better gender balance.
Excellent. I love that.
Team against the influential banker because being able to draw cards is kind of important to me. I am going to hit him with a 2 Real Dream and a spell of False Riches, which will add +4 to my wits and then double them. So that will bring me to a total of 16 versus his 9. Anybody going to help, hinder, or otherwise get involved?
Against the banker? Yes, I will gladly help. Don't
Well, even though, let's see, you have a special assignment for greed.
and don't bother rolling. I rigged his gambling.
Oh well, the stock market just so happens to crash. I wonder how that happened.
Kip. Kip happens.
So greed is gone and
That is going to be a shirt.
Used.
Kip happens.
You heard it here, folks.
Kip happens.
You're so very welcome. As a matter of fact, I think that you need this to protect you from her wrath.
You're
You get
very
a gullible
kind.
Kappa, so your gullible Kappa's identity is revealed.
Fair enough.
See? That's much better. Instead of having to go against double, you've only got a -2.
The gullible cap is a great example of the type of ally you want to give away. The con record
well, you
for
want
dumbest
him-
kappa in existence is -26 and was established at this very convention we just
Last
got done
night.
with. Last night.
You want him when you want him, and then you want to give him away.
Yeah.
And eventually, nobody really wants him. Except somebody who's playing Kip very sneakily, who's like, I'm gonna help you! Sort of.
And that is when Bizarro Kip of Bizarro Help comes in. And that is the type of Kip that actually caused that record to come about.
Okay, so what this means is if you played it on yourself, you would be not able to replenish tricks or foxfire for 2 turns, but you would qualify for tails against a gluttonous fool even if it was lower than your number of tails. Now, you haven't had your consequence yet, have you?
Negative.
Okay. Because the shrew manager is going, you take a consequence before you start your turn.
Oh no.
What have you got?
Set wits to 0 before other modifiers for 2 turns.
Okay.
You can only be suffering 1 long-term consequence at a time. If you suffer more consequences that start to stack up, they become impending consequences. So you don't get multiple restrictions at once. You just get this sort of Damocles hanging over your head that you kind of want to steal the Kappa to deal with. Now what you could do, since that happens on your turn, is if you don't want to be tied up and have your base wits set to 0, you could spend one of your Foxfire, which Mom would then gain, to steal the gullible Kappa from her
So you
and
wouldn't
have him
actually
suffer
have,
it instead.
right, you wouldn't have to be under the restriction of that
And that would
consequence.
only give you a -3 wits instead of setting your base wits to 0. Which is actually the same right now, but you could then, on a later turn, give the Kappa away.